One thing I've heard every educator say is there's not enough time in the classroom. So I want to talk about virtual mini lessons. So a lot of times mini lessons are where you take the whole class and you teach for maybe 8 to 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, short little lesson, and then you let them do their work. But with us having the capability of recording ourselves, of this day and age of technology, how school will be this year, we don't know when kids are going to be absent, when we might be absent, lots of things that we can use Screencast to record for. But specifically, I want to talk about virtual mini lessons. This can happen whether the student is present in the classroom or if they're at home. It works both ways. So for English, let's say you're in an ELA classroom and you want to do a writer's workshop. A great way to do a writer's workshop is to have a digital writer's workshop. So you have all of your kids working at their own pace and they're doing it on Google Docs, so you have access to it. So I pull up this kid's paper and I'm reading it and I see, oh, this kid is really struggling with syntax errors. I need them to work on that. Well, I already have a video for that. So I'm going to send that YouTube link of my video to that kid so they can work on it. Well, let's say this kid keeps using says. It's Lucy says this, and then her friend Joe says this. Okay, well, I want to teach this kid that there's more ways to say the word says. So I want to have a mini lesson on how to exchange that word. Maybe you have a kid who's using the wrong homophones, and so you want to really focus on, let's learn the different meanings of these homophones. So you're reading through their paper and you see they keep getting your mixed up. And so I want them to watch a video on homophones. So I'm going to send them that lesson. This is your differentiation, guys. This is where you're looking at the kids and you're saying, this specific kid needs this right now. So I might have a group of students over here who are working on writing their paper. I might have a group of students over here who are working on watching the videos that I've sent that's tailor-made to meet their needs. I might have a group over here who's already watched the videos, and so now they're working on editing their paper. You can record a screencast using student work from the previous year and you going through and editing. Okay, let's say that I wrote this paper and I wrote in this paper that statistics say this, but I don't have any evidence to support that. And I want to talk about how do I get evidence to support that? Or if I don't have evidence to support it, I'm just going to take the sentence out. Show them what I'm not creating the video after I figure out what little Sally needs. I already know, as the teacher, I already know what are my kids going to struggle with? What is it that they're going to need to review? I already have that. I've already made that video. I already know that this is what you need, so I'm going to give it to you. In a math classroom, this looks like you showing the process. If you're a math teacher, you've seen the Khan Academy videos where the guy's working out the word problem or whatever on the screen. The thing about the teacher creating the screencast and showing the process is these children are now hearing your words. They know the terminology that you use. They know the shortcuts that you show them. They know what your teaching style is. So yeah, you can pull a Khan Academy video and give it to them, but it means so much more and it's tailored so much more to them when it's their teacher that they see. It's their teacher that they hear. It's someone they're familiar with, someone that they know how they talk. They know the words that they use. They know their thinking process when they're solving a math problem. You can differentiate with specific videos. Say, I know that this person, we're working on solving multi-step equations and they've got combining like terms, but they're really stuck at isolating the variable. They don't need to see that whole process. They need to see a short, quick video on just isolating the variables. Or maybe they're getting all the way down to the end, and then when they divide by that negative, they forget to flip the inequality sign. Well, they don't need to know how to solve an inequality. They need to know the rules for when you multiply and divide both sides by a negative number, what happens to the inequality sign. It can be an instructional video on how to use the calculator. I know in 6th grade at our school, they use one specific calculator, and then once they get to 7th and 8th grade, we use a completely different calculator. Well, you could have an instructional video on how do you use this calculator, and things that they use it for in 8th grade are not things that they use it for in 7th grade. So that might be something that each grade level creates a video on that. Of course, you want to talk about it in class. Of course, that's something that you want to go over with your students. But if someone's absent, they've got a video. If someone forgets, they've got a video. You keep this on your Google Classroom, and you keep this available for the students so they have quick access to this. You can do it going over journal notes. You can go over journal notes in class and record yourself, pause yourself while you're teaching your students, and then tomorrow when little Johnny comes and he wasn't here the day before and he says, "What did I miss?" You have your journal notes ready. There's a video for him to watch. He can do it at home. He doesn't have to take up class time and miss your class, miss what you're teaching, because then that's 2 days that he's out. Whereas if you have this video available for him, it's so much better than someone filling in journal notes. Because if someone just fills in journal notes while he's out, he's not going to hear you describe that process. He's not going to understand. He's not going to go back and read the blanks that someone filled in for him while he was absent. All he's going to do is see that his journal is complete. Make the students do their work. Give them the means that they need to be successful in your class. What does that look like in a science and social studies class? Again, you can do the journal notes. That's pretty self-explanatory across all the contents, regardless of what subject you teach. You can have your journal notes to be virtual. You can go over CSR strategies, how you expect CSR strategies to look like in your classroom. You can go over what do you expect out of this project. That way, when they're home and they're reading the information and maybe they're confused about what you meant by this, if there's already a video available, they can pull that up on their Google Classroom, have access to it, be able to hear you explain it again. You can go over demonstrations. This is what I expect out of you when you work on this project at home or at school. This is what I expect out of you when you're working with a partner. Anything. And, maybe you teach science and you heard something in the ELA lesson that prompted you to think, oh, I could do this in my class. This isn't a one-size-fits-all. It's you take these ideas and you expound upon them in a way that makes differentiation and tailored needs for your students evident in your classroom, because that's what we're here for, is to maximize the education of all of our students. And screencast, mini lessons, this virtual idea, it's a great way to do that. Have that flipped classroom to where you have more face-to-face time with your kids on an individual basis, because everyone knows what they're doing because they have these videos available to them. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is student-based learning. So you don't have to be the only one creating screencasts. Screencasts are free. The kids can sign up for this and they can record their own videos. One quick thing I want to mention, if you decide to use this for student-based learning in your classroom, make sure to educate your students on digital footprint. Let them know that anybody can see this video. Just because they post it in their Google Classroom doesn't mean that someone else isn't going to share it with someone else, whatever. Make sure they understand what a digital footprint is, what that looks like before you give them access to creating virtual content. Because if they're sharing it on Google Classroom, it's a great way for collaboration. It's a great way to share their thoughts and ideas with everyone else, but they need to understand everyone in the class gets to see this. So they need to be mindful of what they put in their video, what they show in their video, what they say in their video. So you can use this for kids to create their projects. Maybe in a science class, instead of working on a worksheet, they can record their observations. They can have the project in front of them, the chemical reaction in front of them, and have a Chromebook or an iPad recording them doing the observation and them going through this process, and then they submit it to you, then you can record a screencast back to them and tell them what you thought of that project. That works for whether they're in the classroom or whether they're at home working on something at home. In an ELA class, they could do a book talk. In a social studies class, they could record themselves as a political figure. Really, it's limitless, guys. You stretch your brain and think, how can I use this to get the most out of my classroom, the most out of my students, while using this free resource that we have available. Be sure to check out the other screencast videos to learn about how to organize your playlist on YouTube, how to record the screencast, how to upload the screencast. All of that stuff can be found on the PC Technology Training website.